Welcome to Microstore. CEC engineer Isaac Clark. Updating inventory to CEC engineering loadout.
Dead Space is without a doubt my favorite space horror video game series. The claustrophobic environment, the oppressive and hostile atmosphere, the technology and the industrial ambient similar to the Alien one, and overall, the suites that we see Isaac Clarke, our protagonist, were throughout all the game. And one thing I've always wondered is, if we wanted to, could we recreate them? If we could, how advanced would they have to be? How expensive would they be? Or if we could recreate the mechanisms of the helmets in the game? To answer all of these questions and a little more, I had made this video, with all the information you need to know if can we make the Dead Space suits in real life? The first question is, do we really have the technology to recreate these suits? And the answer is yes. And no, I mean yes, we do have some of the necessary technology, but also no, not entirely. Here's the thing. Spacesuits in general are incredibly complicated. They rely on numerous systems that must operate flawlessly to maintain the wearer's safety and survival. And while these systems are designed to be as reliable as possible, we know that no system is perfect. Sooner or later, even the best ones can and will fail. We have systems for temperature and oxygen regulation, pressure control, protection against cosmic radiation, and life support systems advanced enough to keep you alive without any external support. Just like we see in the games, where our Higatat chills in the freaking vacuum of space like it's nothing. In real life, the closest example we have are the SpaceX suites, which still rely on umbilical cables to maintain their life support systems during EVAs, which, by the way, stands for extravehicular activities, or as I like to call it, doing spicy stuff outside the ship. And of course, we can't forget one of the most important features, the mobility. The way Isaac flies like a butterfly with those little thrusters on his feet, chest and back, using who knows what kind of propellant, maybe even oxygen from the suit itself, it's absolutely mind-blowing. I've lost count of how many times I've watched him flying, running and fighting necromorph and thought, bro, God bless the dudes who made this suit. Really. I mean, I'm getting a bit excited here, because the level of refinement and elegance these suits have must have taken years and countless brilliant minds to perfect. And oh my god, I'm not even talking about the helmet interface or how they managed to make an apparently fully metallic helmet made up of so many little pieces, completely pressurized, able to fold and unfold automatically, and still make the user look like an absolute boss. When it comes to the materials required for such a purpose, keep in mind that space is an extremely hostile environment. There's no atmospheric pressure, cosmic radiation is a constant danger, and temperatures can vary drastically from minus 270 degrees Celsius to 120 degrees Celsius. However, there's a catch. While the average temperature of deep space is indeed minus 270 degrees Celsius, the situation changes if an object or one side of it is exposed to a source of energy like direct sunlight. In that case, the temperature can rise very quickly. And on the flip side, if that object stops receiving sunlight, its temperature will drop just as drastically. A perfect example of this is the Moon, where temperatures range from 127 degrees Celsius during the lunar day to minus 173 degrees Celsius during the lunar night, depending on whether it's in sunlight or in shadow. Therefore, as we design to operate in these extreme conditions would need to be made from a material capable of withstanding all these challenges consistently, while also being durable enough for multiple uses. After doing some research, I believe the most suitable material would be graphene. This single-atom thick material is widely known for being 200 times stronger than steel, extremely lightweight, and an excellent conductor of electricity, among other incredible properties. But here's the catch. The reason this miraculous material isn't widely used yet is that we simply haven't invented a scalable way to mass produce it. This limitation makes its production expensive and its implementation in current technology is quite challenging. But when we find a way to produce and implement this material on a massive scale, I'm sure we could design suits much more capable than those we have today. Continuing with the mechanisms of the helmet, well, despite being an absolute fan of how they fold and unfold automatically, the truth is that in reality, while they might offer some extra comfort, these systems would serve a purely aesthetic purpose. They would add unnecessary complexity to the design, increasing the cost, weight, and construction and maintenance times. But if we still wanted to implement something similar in real life, how would it work? The first and most important considerations are the pressure and life support systems. It would need to ensure there are no air leaks and that its deployment mechanisms are almost infallible, something that it's quite challenging to achieve with current engineering techniques. Additionally, the helmet would need to filter sunlight effectively, similar to the visors of the Apollo mission suites. In fact, we can see something comparable in the EVA suite in Dead Space 3, which adds a nice touch of realism. But as I mentioned earlier, I don't think this feature is truly necessary to create a great futuristic helmet in real life. Besides, we already have many other cool and functional space helmet designs to draw inspiration from. Another defining feature of the Dead Space saga is the rig, or resource integration gear, a device mounted on the spine, somehow, that monitors vital signs like blood pressure, infections, and, well, death. And in addition to these life monitoring functions, the rig enhances the user's capability through holographic displays, two-way communication, navigation guidance, and advanced tools like kinesis and stasis. These devices are highly versatile, incorporating oxygen supply systems, armor, and specialized tools depending on the user's profession. It is this device that canonically produces the infamous flatline sound that we heard when we get popped while playing. When it comes to the rig, I honestly believe it would be an incredibly useful addition to real-life suits. Imagine a device capable of monitoring your vital signs for any anomalies, detecting the slightest signs of illness or malfunctions in the suit systems, and instantly alerting both the user and others. A tool like that wouldn't just be valuable for space exploration, it could revolutionize everyday life for everyone. Just as seen in the games, it would be worth investing resources into recreating something similar to the rig in reality. Now regarding the kinesis and stasis systems, I think those are very far from being feasible in the real world. They essentially rely on some form of gravity manipulation which could exist in the Dead Space universe where humanity is centuries ahead of us technologically. But as far as I know, we are nowhere near developing the ability to control gravity. That said, there is some research that could change that in the future. Let me know in the comments if you would like me to make a video diving into that topic too. So, do you remember when I previously mentioned the thrusters that the suits carry to move in zero gravity? Well, in real life the closest thing we have to those is the simplified aid for EVA Rescue or SAFER. This is a personal propulsion device designed as a safety tool for astronauts performing extravehicular activities. It allows astronauts to return to the spacecraft in case they accidentally become separated. This demonstrates that we already have a primitive precedent for what we see in the games. Therefore, I believe that with enough time and resources, we could design suites with similar capabilities to those in Dead Space. The only thing that still doesn't entirely convince me is that they never mention what kind of propellants the Dead Space suites use. But if we base ourselves purely on the visuals, I'd say it's some sort of highly efficient ion propulsion, with the tanks possibly located in the leg or back areas. But well, that's just my guess though. In this section I'm referring mainly on the remake of the first game, as none of the suites in the original Dead Space have personal thrusters, and the ones in the second and third games seem to rely on more traditional chemical propellants or reactions like the RCS thrusters. It's important to mention that these observations are based purely on the remake of the first game. So what you think? Could this be a possible explanation, or you have another theory? If you do, feel free to share your thoughts in the comment box down below. I'll make sure to read them all. As for the design and appearance of these hypothetical suites, if we look closely to the characteristics and functions that they should fulfill, such as being flexible, having their own portable propulsion systems, having independent life support systems, and being able to withstand the extreme conditions of space without suffering damage, all of this in a repetitive and reliable way, and above all, looking as cool as realistically possible, I think that they would look more like the suites from Interstellar than those from Dead Space, mainly because the general design of these seems to be focused on transmitting an era of mystery with an industrial appearance, at least in my opinion, of course. However, I also consider that their design is very original, and that it could even inspire real developments such as the rigs and personal thrusters. Well guys, that's all for today's video. I've left out a lot of interesting information to keep the video from becoming too complex. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who stayed until the end. I really appreciate it. I know my English isn't perfect right now, but I'm working hard to improve it whenever I can. So if there's a specific topic you'd like me to cover in a future video, feel free to let me know in the comment box down below. Without anything else to add, bye bye.